is the Podgram.
You see, you're on fire today.
Sitting here in the dark, I realized I didn't turn the lights on.
The Podgram with Tom and Christy.
It's sad that this is the world that we live in.
Here, let me stop and tie my shoe right in front of you so you can't drive.
The Podgram.
All of a sudden, I hear...
Well, I don't really care.
Join the conversation. 855-PODGRAM.
Bust your ass.
Yeah.
The Podgram with Tom and Christy starts now.
Good morning. Thanks for stopping by the Podgram. We're on TuneIn. You can catch us on YouTube Live. We've kind of abandoned the Facebook Live thing for now because, well, you know, they blow hairy, furry goats and all that sort of thing. So, wow, we got quite a show for you today lined up. We got stuff to talk about. Right now, the one thing I really want to talk about is I want to say hello to our good friend, Christy.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
I'm having withdrawal.
Good. Glad to hear that. I'm sorry. But before we get started, let's go ahead and let's do this. Now, you may be wondering why we're playing the Night Court theme song this morning. Because in addition to other people passing away on us, they have no right to do that. We've lost Judge Harry T. Stone, that's his character on the show. Harry Anderson has passed away and left us now. And Christy said, wow, that kind of blows any chance of a Night Court reunion show. So that's true. But
what people don't realize is he was an accomplished magician.
Oh yes, well he a lot of times on the show they brought that into the Night Court program, and of course the younger crowd say Night Court. What the hell is that? I never heard of that.
I am going to make my kids watch Night Court as soon as I am capable of getting them to watch Night Court.
Where do you even find it? I mean, is it?
It's some of them you can find it, I think, on Netflix, and of course you can buy old DVD compilations of it. But I read an article on him, and he says, I got into magic when I was a child. He told the Associated Press in 1987. Yeah. Unlike most kids, I stayed with it into my high school years, where kids were asking me what I was going to do. He said, it made me what I am today. Mm-hmm. Available for weekend employment, parties, and bar mitzvahs.
Kind of like a mobile DJ without all the heavy speakers, right?
Yeah. He said Cheers was his first acting job, but basically it was the character that he had developed doing street magic. Mm-hmm. And it was how he made a living, hustling drinks in bars and quarters on the street.
Do we know how old he was?
He was 65.
Wow.
I mean, that's just really sad. He did Night Court from 1984 to 1992. And then he did Dave's World, which was based on the Pulitzer Prize winning humor columnist Dave Barry. Mm-hmm. And that ran from 93 to 97. And he said something really funny that he was never going to pull a Don Knotts, mm-hmm. where he was going to be like this really old wrinkly actor trying to hustle work.
Oh, that's cold.
Well, he said, I don't understand why guys have that Don Knotts syndrome of having to be out there hustling. So he sold his home in Pasadena and he moved back to New Orleans, where he lived in the 1970s until Hurricane Katrina, where he finally, with his second wife, Elizabeth Morgan, he moved to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes, and that's right down the road. That's about 4 hours from where I live. I had no idea that he lived there. Had no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no immediate cause of death. They're not quite sure why he was found dead, but they don't suspect any foul play. So, I mean, he may have just succumbed to some bad living, you know.
Maybe he tried the wrong magic trick.
Too much bacon and eggs or, you know.
Hey, if too much bacon is a cause of death, I'd have been dead years ago.
Yeah, I'll go happily.
Yeah.
I will totally go happily.
I hate that, though. I hate that. He could have. I think he had the ability to be a much better known actor. I mean, I think he had the talent to be on many other things.
You know what I hate?
Digging through your purse?
When my daughter takes off with my stuff.
Yeah.
I have everything I need at like a hands grab
Yeah.
so that I don't have to dig through my stuff on the show.
Yeah. Well, check this out. So, I have a wrecked truck in my backyard from last year, right?
Yes.
And that my 3-year-old is in love with that truck.
Yes,
and
Daddy. When are you going to fix Daddy's truck?
And he goes out and he pets it, and if he finds loose parts, he pulls them off and drags them in the house. And yeah, we've got headlights on the floor in the living room.
He's so sweet.
He is. Well, he spied with his beady eyes on. We had to put our keys up really high, like at the ceiling, so that because he will build this incredibly well engineered climbing apparatus to get up to the high keychains that's comprised of bar stools and kitchen table chairs. And
he'll MacGyver it.
Yeah, he'll get there. And he's up there. Look, I got Daddy's broken truck keys. Well, he spied with his beady eyes. Behind my bedroom door, there is, and when the door's open, you can't see, but there's a coat rack there that we keep like windbreakers and stuff and umbrellas and things like that we don't necessarily need hanging in the living room all the time, right? So, that's also a great place to put keys because there's nothing in the bedroom for him to build a climbing apparatus out of.
So it's like, when you put that cone on your bird feeder, you're trying to squirrel proof it,
right? Right. Well,
you're trying to Steve proof it.
Now I have caught him trying to move the Miss Pac-Man machine over, but it weighs. For those who don't know, Melanie has a Miss Pac-Man cocktail table arcade game that we got from a friend who bought it and had it restored and played it, and he finally moved to a house where he didn't have room for it. And Melanie had coveted this for years because when she was a girl, I mean, she's still a girl, but when she was like younger, she would go to her dad. Her dad had a club, like a bar, and he had a Miss Pac-Man cocktail table in his club. And she would, after school, she would sit there and she'd come in and he'd put credits on it, and she would just play it for hours and hours and hours. And as soon as she found out this guy had one, she's like, all right, listen, you're going to have to go visit for the weekend. Take the truck and figure out while they're sleeping how to get that in the truck and leave. She stalked and coveted that machine for 10 years. And I was finally he finally called me and says, listen, if Mel wants it, So now we have it. And it's a great place to hold up clothes, by the way. Nobody plays it.
Yeah, like treadmills.
Like a treadmill, yeah.
They make amazing hangers.
Yeah, and if you put a board across the handles,
you can make you can organize weeks worth of clothing.
Yeah.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need a treadmill for the back of my van so I can organize my tools on it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Anyway, so he saw the keys. Now, what he does, if he can get his hands on the keys for, as he calls it, the broken truck, he will sneak out right past Melanie, who sits on the deck. He will sneak right past her, out to the truck, unlock it, and get in. Now, I don't mind that he would play in the truck, but what's that term you use? If not for?
But not for.
But not for. There's broken glass in the truck. The seats are not bolted down anymore. There's tools in the truck. It's in various states of disassembly, because my new truck is the same truck. So I was taking the goodies out of the old truck and putting them into the new truck. But I mean, if there was no broken glass and it was complete and there wasn't anything for him to get hurt on in there, I would not mind him playing in it. It would be okay with me. But there was too much stuff in there for him to play with that he can get hurt on. And I just don't want him in there. But he finds a way to sneak those keys and go out there. And he knows, because the passenger door makes this awful sound when you open it. Because it's bent up, and he goes, "Rah!" when you try to open it. That was the best. It's the best I got.
So it sounds like Mothra when you open it.
And then, but the driver's door opens just fine. Which the driver's door is the one that faces the deck, that you can see from the deck, and he manages to squinkle his way in there without ever being detected.
Let me tell you how absolutely, completely discombobulated I am today.
Tell me.
I have a child home today. Well, yeah. I'm sorry, Phil's home today.
Well, it's two kids?
Or no, I I have a child home today. I'm sorry. I have Phil home today.
Oh, but it's one person in total.
Just one person.
I got it. Okay, yeah. The man-child, yeah.
So I have the man-child home today.
Yes, indeed.
And so he didn't get home until almost midnight because he was out doing his man thing.
Honey, can you bring me some soup?
That of which we do not speak. And
yes.
His bro club, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was out doing his fez wearing thing and didn't get home until midnight. So I waited up for him because why? I am a good wife. Huh. So he was up at 4 a.m, throwing his guts up.
From the fez dispenser?
No idea. But I woke up to...
Yeah.
Back to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, actually, I think I woke up, found him some Nausine, threw him at him in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because I'm so caring, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I've noticed, let me interject here. I've noticed that wives, even when the husband does something stupid that leads to his own demise, she will still come to his rescue and help him. But the attitude with which she assists him changes drastically from, oh, you have the flu, I'm sorry, let me pet you, bring you some toast and whatever you need, to, here's your effing pills, blap, here, take it.
No, but see, he had nothing to drink last night.
So, okay.
This was not an alcoholic, I've been stupid. He's never done that.
I see. Okay.
He has a very acidic stomach.
Uh-huh.
And he was sampling food last night that he knew was going to get him in trouble.
So then it was kind of stupid.
It was the same principle, which is why I think I threw the pills at him.
Here's your pills.
Instead of offering him some. And then I went back to bed.
And I put the extra pills in your purse. In case you need them for later.
And then at 5, the dog wanted to snuggle.
Yeah.
And I kept telling him to get down.
Yeah.
But he was so fluffy. I couldn't.
Right. Yeah.
And then 6, Evan got up.
Yeah.
And then I had to get him done. And he was like super high maintenance this morning for some reason.
Yeah.
And then 7 o'clock, I had to get Andy together. And then I didn't even get in the shower until 8 o'clock. And normally by 8 o'clock, I'm done ready to go sit in here bugging you.
Let me show you something. You have dogs in your bed, right? I don't know. I don't know if you would see this on the camera. But
just one.
You see this right here?
Uh-huh.
This is the remnants of a flea bite from like 4 days ago.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's awful. I get these welts. It's awful. It looks like I've been bitten by like a tarantula or a recluse or something. But here, see, so what happens is, in the effort to not spend any money, we might stretch out the flea treatments a little bit. But now, with that having been said, we have, and I don't know why, we have these visiting dogs. We call them neighbor puppy in honor of Jim Vest, who used to call their dog, their neighbors, they would come over and neighbor puppy, right? Now we're having neighbor puppies showing up at the house. Beautiful Pomeranian and this little Chihuahua dog. My kids have one name for him. I forget, was it Speedy? Jumpy? I forget what my kids call him. But the people at the end of our driveway, we have neighbors. They're kind of new neighbors. And I got to hang out with them. Lisa and Bobby at the end of the driveway. And they have named that same dog Chico.
Chico?
Chico.
Like Chico and the Man?
Like Chico Belgrande. And so they...
Oh.
Right. So neighbor puppy not only visits us, but also Lisa and Bobby up the street.
I'm sure.
And because
if he's not living with you, he's making the rounds.
Because Lisa, I've learned a few things. I've only spoken to them one other time when they were moving in. I just greeted them as I was driving by. So I haven't been a good neighbor. I haven't gone up there and, anyway. So I stopped in the other day when I was coming home with my van, the B2.
BV2.
I was driving the B2. Yeah. And anyway, so which didn't pass inspection, by the way. It has a turn signal light this out. And now, after having driven it all over hell and half of Georgia last night, the check engine light's back on. So I got to figure that one out because it won't pass that way either. Anyway, so I had stopped in and I was chatting with them and we were talking about stuff. Well, as it ends out, when my dogs are out in the yard, they will generally stay in the yard pretty much. But I didn't realize that she was up there saying, here, doodle, 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 doodle. And they can hear that from down here. We don't hear it because we're just people. We don't hear that. But they hear it and they haul ass. Because she's feeding them treats and petting them and playing with this little Donald Trump looking hair. And she's a mushmonger, right? So that's why my dogs are disappearing and running up the driveway like the mailman's out. Because she's up there with treats and she's bribing my dogs up there with treats. She's
loving on your puppies when you're not there.
Well, when we are here, she's loving on our puppies as soon as they come. And I was apologizing to them. I'm sorry. I know that my mushmonger, barking, yappity-ass dogs are showing up in your yard more often than you probably want them to. Oh, no. It's fine. We call them up to the yard so we can give them little treaties. I'm like, oh, well, now, see, all that makes sense now.
That's why they're getting fatter.
Yeah. That's why they don't want to live here anymore. You know, the lady up the street gives us treats. You don't give us crap. You yell at us for going to get treats.
The lady up the street got less kids.
Yeah. There's that. There is that. Well, of course, they're back in time to go to sleep with Jenny because they love to sleep with Jenny, except for Doodle sleeps in our bedroom, which is how now, because they hang out with neighbor puppies, they wind up, I'm sure neighbor puppies have fleas. I'm not treating those with Frontline because that crap's expensive. But, so when we stretch it out an extra week each time in an effort to save a few bucks or stretch that, our dog gets fleas. And the other night, she snuggled up and loved up on me. Now, I don't play with our dogs that much because they're not mine. I don't want them to get the idea that I'm giving them any treats.
They're rental dogs for you.
They're not my buddies. That's what Kristen used to say. You are not my buddy. Get off me. We're not
They're
friends.
rental dogs for you. You just borrow it when you want one.
Yeah. And so I guess Doodle got fleas. And then when she got into bed, in the fresh, clean sheets had been changed that day. I woke up with flea bites all over me. All over me.
See, we do Seresto.
It's miserable.
And we don't have to worry about it for like 8 months at a time.
Melanie says those are flea bites. And then, so for the next 2 weeks, I'll be sitting here nitpicking at my facial hair thinking I got fleas in it.
You need to get one of those monkeys that'll just sit on your back.
That's what I thought I was doing when I had kids.
Yeah. Well,
that's all I'm saying about that.
The Podgram with Tom and Christy. Join the conversation. 855-PODGRAM.
It's nearly 20 after here on the Podgram. Certainly appreciate you hanging out. We don't have any way right now to view the YouTube live comments. So, you know what? I may live a little and give it a try. Should I give it a try? What's the worst that could happen? Shuts my computer down? Which, by the way...
Living on the edge.
Right. Which, by the way, I'm supposed to go pick up my computer on Saturday. And I said to the guy, listen, I need the biggest, ballsiest processor you got. I need you to stuff as much RAM on that thing as you can. And I need this computer to be a badass for about at least 3 years before everybody else in the world catches up. He's like, oh, sure. No problem there, Mr. Mugg. We can do that for you. Okay.
I'm just having a day.
Are you? I like the pulled up evil librarian spank me please haircut. Hairdo. Yeah.
I'm having a day.
Now let me ask you. Let me ask you before you get it. Let me ask you. So I'm looking at you, and so are the two other people watching. Is that the hair? Is it, because we talk about stuff that's really deeply personal that normally you wouldn't say. Is this the hairstyle that you were going for today, or did it not work out and you just pulled it up?
No, this was absolutely intended.
Okay.
It's French twisted. It's.
Oh, see, yeah. So there's effort going on there. Because,
Yes.
And the reason that I ask you that is because Melanie says to me, even if you're having a bad hair day, all you got to do is put on the eye makeup and people think that's what you wanted your hair to look like.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you look.
Because even messy buns are in, so.
Yeah. But I mean, you look beautiful. I wasn't implying that we were having a bad hair day.
No, but asking it the way you did in the beginning was, that was.
So I wasn't implying anything, so get off my back.
I'm not. Naps. Yeah.
Anyway, continue onward and upward.
Well, I'm very happy for Jen that she's back at work.
Yeah.
But I miss my buddy.
Yeah, that's.
I'm kind of having. I wished her have a great day today, right on text message.
Yeah.
And I said I'm starting my 12-step program for Walmart today.
Because she was your shopping buddy. Because
we go to Walmart like every day, and I haven't been in like a week. It's like I'm going through withdrawal.
Yeah. We went out. Yeah. We went out to Olive Garden last night because why were we even out? Oh! Here's an update. A mother-in-law update.
Uh-oh.
MIL, mother-in-law, malfunction indicator lamp. Coincidence? Coincidence? MIL.
That's a picnic error. Person in chair, not in computer.
MIL. In your car, it stands for malfunction indicator lamp. That's what they call the check engine light. That's the technical term for the check engine light is the MIL, or the malfunction indicator lamp. And mother-in-law, MIL. Coincidence? No.
Yeah.
Do you remember, I guess it was last year, when she drove 35 miles at highway speed on a flat tire?
Yes.
And just beat the total piss out of her car with it. I mean, I'm talking about she ripped the bumper off. She ripped the headlight out of it. Wiring harnesses. The fender got battered to death. The door got bent. It had black tar stuck all the way down the passenger side. I'm bringing her home from work the next day. She just, hey, let's see if we can find my headlight on the side of the road. No. You have to buy another one. Okay.
I was watching a guy in Rome come up the street with a blown tire.
Yeah.
And this wouldn't be a crime, but he was driving a Cadillac CTS.
Yeah.
A Cadillac coupe. And it was a new one. And he's driving a flat tire on the rim.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that would be okay if there was like a chase car behind him. If there was some lights and sirens going on, I could understand.
If he was evading something, if he was running for his life.
Was a stolen car. And I'm like, okay, well, I just left the brake muffler shop. The tire,
Yeah.
Is he going to turn in? Is he turning in?
Nope. Kept going.
He went right. This is Rome. Nothing surprises me.
Well,
Moving on.
Yeah. And here's, if you've never driven on a flat tire, there's no mistake.
Your wheel is like.
Yeah, so you can't say, well, I thought there might be something wrong, but I wasn't sure. There's no mistake in that.
I hit something. What?
I thought there was a dead body wrapped around my tire because that's what it feels like.
Well, I mean, that's a special snowflake sticker.
So, Melanie got a phone call the other night about 11 o'clock. Her mom had a flat tire. This time, instead of driving home on it, she parked the car in the convenience store parking lot. And I guess she sat there trying to put air in it. I think she ended up putting like $50 in the air machine before she realized the tire wasn't holding anything. Because it has a 6-inch gash down the sidewall. Tire is ripped in half down the sidewall.
Beautiful.
So Melanie says to me, hey, listen, we've got to go put a tire on Mom's car. Where does she have a spare? And I said, I still have the 3 other tires and wheels that were left last time this was a problem. So we have a perfect spare. It's already mounted on a wheel. It's a full-size tire. We'll just take one. Then we'll just have 2 in the front yard.
You just get like a Garanimals car for her.
I didn't get rid of those tires and wheels because I knew at some point at least one was going back on that car.
She would mother-in-law it.
Now, yeah, MIL, right? So she was just here the other day asking about if I thought we should put any money into that car.
What?
She was, so a little bit of history. When I bought the car, Went to South Carolina. It was a little old lady's car that was garage kept, extremely low miles on it, in beautiful condition. Got it
way too nice for her.
Got it for cheap, brought it home, and within weeks, there were problems where she'd run into stuff with it.
And it breaks your heart because, we're car people. You know
Melanie's brother says, you need to take Mom back up to the highway patrol office and get her another ex-cop car because you can batter anything with those. You ever watch the videos on YouTube where they're running from the cops? You watch any police chase show, and these guys in 4x4s are driving through the woods, and there's the damn police cruiser right behind them, not losing any ground. And when the 4x4 fails, the police cruiser runs them right through. Those things are battering rams. Get her a battering ram.
Would you believe it's the 17th of April, and I'm looking out my window, and it's snowing?
Well, let me see what I got. It's 46 here. It's kind of cold here. Oh,
but
look at the sun shining through, though. Look at that. Beautiful sun shining through. All right.
It's snowing.
Yeah. Global warming and all. So people are idiots. So we went down there. I went to O'Reilly's.
FML.
Huh?
FML.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Went to O'Reilly's. Go ahead, sing the jingle for me. O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Auto parts. Pow.
Auto parts. Wow.
Chicka wow wow. So we went to, Melanie was singing that. That was kind of funny. Working in the media, it's like, to hear your wife, who normally doesn't care what you do for a living, singing the O'Reilly's jingle. So we're going over there to pick up a jack because I don't like the little scissor jack that comes with a car. So I went and bought a floor jack.
Very nice.
Well, I mean, because my last one broke. My kids broke it. I'm telling you, honey, have you seen my rocks? Yeah, the kids broke them. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we're going down there to get a jack, a light bulb for the B2, and what else? A steering wheel cover, because with 280,000 miles on it, that thing is nasty. So I got a new steering wheel wrap for it. Anyway, so we're going down there. She's like, O'Reilly. Auto parts. Bow. Bow, bow. So we go and find the stuff at O'Reilly's and go back over. And I was surprised they hadn't had her car hauled off. It's been there for 2 days in the front parking spot in the Circle K. It wasn't off to the side. It was in the front parking spot, like somebody came in to buy something and then just left their car there with a flat tire. So we moved it and jacked it up and, got one of the tires on it, whatever. Then she says, well, I got to take this back over to Mom over at Walmart. She's at work, blah, blah, blah. Hey, listen, while we're over that way, why don't we go eat? It's like, sure.
Ooh.
I have Olive Garden.
You're speaking my language.
I have Olive Garden gift cards.
Even better, free food.
Yeah, I know. Free. One of my favorite 4-letter words that starts with an F. Food is another one. And when you put them together, then you got something. Yeah.
You got me in the middle.
Yeah. Right. So we went over to Olive Garden, and the kids were, for the most part, pretty well behaved. But then she wanted to go to Shoe Carnival, and she wanted to go to Rack Room Shoes, and she wanted to go here and there. Well, after a certain period of time, the children become a little bit unruly because they're tired of, going. And the first offender is always Travis. I almost had to pull the van over and jerk him out by his hair and beat him on the side of the road just because he just wouldn't stop. Aggravating. Ugh. So when I bought the steering wheel cover, there was a whole point to that. There's a cardboard insert in the middle of the steering wheel cover, which you pull out and you throw it away. Steve wanted it so he could drive in the back seat. Sure, buddy. No problem. Travis took it away from him, and him and Jenny sat in the back seat and turned it into confetti.
Oh, no. And then Steve proceeded to throw a fit.
Then Steve threw a fit, and there was cardboard confetti all over my van. So I told them last night, you will clean it up. And if I get in the van tomorrow and I find one piece of that on the floor, I will grab both of you by the hair of the head and bang your skulls together.
Like coconut.
Just so you know. Just so you know.
The Podgram with Tom and Christy.
They're still at it.
I'm walking, two people talk about nothing.
Join the conversation. 855-PODGRAM.
Well, we're halfway through our Tuesday edition of the Podgram Live. Thanks so much for joining us over on YouTube. You can catch us on YouTube Live And you can also check us out on TuneIn 24/7. We are streaming over on TuneIn. Now, don't think that we're live 24/7 because we're not, because, that would just be asinine. But we do run, we're live from 9 to 10 Eastern time each and every weekday morning. And then we run the previous programs for the other 23 hours over there on TuneIn. So you can get it on your smartphone. You can go straight to it from the internet, on your computer, blah, 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 whatever. And you should be able to go to your smart speaker and ask for it just to play the podgram, but for some reason it doesn't work. And the people over at Google and the people over at Amazon are like, I think their response now officially is, I don't know. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, your turn.
Oh, it's my turn? Oh, okay. I'm just making sure.
Do you have anything, or?
Of course I have things.
Oh, of course you do.
Well, I'm gonna
you know what we need to talk about? You know what we need to talk about is
what?
the Starbucks thing, because we tried to get to that yesterday, and now there's new information out, which still does not justify what happened over at the Starbucks. Yeah, you may remember. Now, listen.
This is true.
I have been called a lot of things in my life.
Yeah.
I have been called a racist, and but I'm not. The one group of people that I really don't like is the stupid people, and they come in all colors.
This is true.
It makes no difference. Yeah. I don't discriminate based on, color of your skin, because as I teach my children, we're all the same basic color, just different shades.
Correct.
God just kind of took us through Photoshop and changed the hue and the saturation, and just made little tweaks for the different people. It's not, Anyway, I digress.
Correct.
I digress. So these two gentlemen go into a Starbucks. Now, I haven't seen any kind of imagery or pictures of who they are or what they looked like or how they were dressed. I mean, were they dressed like thugs, or were they not?
No, they were nicely dressed. They were wearing jeans, polo shirt, and like a Columbia zip-up jacket. So, nicely dressed. And they weren't like thuggish. They weren't, droopy pants. So,
right.
They looked like any other. If the pictures were in black and white, you would have no idea.
Okay. We actually, I got onto the YouTube thing over here, and I do have somebody who said, "Do y'all ever get on?" So I'm going to reply to that. Anyway, go ahead and talk about the Starbucks thing while I do that. I don't even know if this person's still here, but
the Starbucks thing is these two gentlemen were they're real estate agents, and they were there to meet a third party who, incidentally, and I hate having to do this, who was white. And the two black gentlemen, two real estate agents, were there to meet a third party who was white. And they came into the restaurant and they sat down because they were waiting for their third party.
Yeah.
They waited for a brief period, and then they got up. They went to the cash register, or they went to the register and asked to use the restroom.
Yeah.
The barista said, no, because you have not purchased anything.
You have to help me. What's the barista?
That's the person who makes all the fancy dancy coffees.
Oh.
That's what they call them. The cashier.
Dunkin' Donuts, DIY, brew it at home, have a gallon. About a dime's worth right there.
But it's not a half calf, double latte, shot of crap, whatever.
Well, it's got some stuff in it.
So I don't drink coffee, so but you know what that my what's his moron used to be like all about the coffee.
You know what? I like coffee. I had a big Dunkin' Donuts, because you can buy it in the store. You don't have to go to Dunkin' Donuts.
He spent $4,000 on a coffee pot, on a coffee machine.
That's over the top. I mean, you can even get a Keurig for less than that.
He couldn't pay his own rent, did not pay any child support for 3 years, but paid $4,000 for a coffee machine.
I can see it now in the court. Well, Your Honor, I bought my kids this coffee machine so they wouldn't have to.
No. She refused to take him to court. But anyway, I digress, because if I start talking about that,
we'll have to do a 2-hour show, and it'll just be hair will go all over. Yeah, terrible. Sure.
raining back in. Anyway, so the barista.
You could buy a Bun-O-Matic restaurant machine. Anyway, so the Batista.
So the barista says, no, because you haven't purchased anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we're just waiting for somebody. And they said, no, because you haven't purchased anything.
Mm.
And they said, words were exchanged. The barista then goes back behind the counter and calls the police department and says that they're trespassing.
Yes.
Next thing you know, the police arrive and attempt to arrest them. Words are exchanged. In the meantime, the third party whom they're meeting arrives.
Shows up, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what's going on? We're just here for coffee. And that's where the video picks up is the police did their job correctly. They were just there based on a complaint that these two gentlemen were loitering. They were in an establishment where they were not purchasing anything. They were just sitting there. They didn't do anything. They weren't disrespectful to the barista. From what you can see on the video, they weren't disrespectful. They didn't, make any lewd comments or rude comments, or they weren't in a huge group. It was two of them. The lobby wasn't full. I mean, there was a moderate amount of people there. There was no reason that she shouldn't have given them that key to the restroom.
Now I understand that Starbucks, and I don't know if it's that location or if it's all of them that have a key that you have to access the bathroom with. They'll just leave it open for customers. Now, sometimes
it's policy per restaurant, whether it's an owned or a corporate owned or it's individual owned.
Yeah, management gets to make the decisions over whether they allow non-paying patrons to use bathrooms and Wi-Fi. But so this Starbucks is in Philadelphia. There is a large population of street people in and around this location in Philadelphia. So I can imagine that now.
I'd lock my bathrooms too.
I'm going to do a flip-flop on you here because for a second it's going to sound like I'm defending the restaurant, the restaurateur. What do they call that?
Entrepreneur?
I was
restaurateur.
Thinking, yeah, I guess that'd be fine. Yeah. And so people who come into these locations, into these businesses.
Oh, the proprietor.
No, that's anyway, people who come in off the street. when you have a population of street people, I was thinking about hotels, and the owner of a hotel is a hotelier.
Ah.
Yeah, I was thinking about Anthony I think it's actually hotelier, but I think because Anthony Malcori's in New Yorker, he calls him a hotelier. Hotelier, what kind of hotelier are you over here? Break your freaking head. But in an area where you have a place like that, where you have street people, and by street people I mean homeless people and vagrants, and I'm not defending or bashing those people for their situation, but as a business owner, you can't just have the whole population of homeless people coming in laid out in your store.
Or
using your bathrooms, loitering, using your free Wi-Fi. Of course, not a whole lot of homeless people use Wi-Fi, but
but they could just come in, warm up their bones,
and beat it.
Go into the bathroom and take a hobo shower.
Yeah.
And I don't need that in my sink.
Yeah, I know that. I know that in places where that is prevalent, business owners are a little tighter on what they allow and what they don't allow, because otherwise they'll get overrun with these people.
How many paper towels and toilet paper are you going to go through when you've got half the homeless population in Philadelphia using your restroom?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm not defending the restaurant over there, this particular, but that's why I asked. I haven't seen any of the video. How are these gentlemen dressed?
Very nicely.
Okay.
I mean, they weren't.
So clearly they're not streetwalkers.
There was no suspicion of them being derelict.
Yeah. Okay.
They were perfectly capable of making a purchase.
Okay. All right. So, but they were waiting for their third-party buddy to show up before they. Yeah. How many times have you gone to a place and you waited for your friend before you actually, ordered anything?
Absolutely.
When you're meeting somebody for lunch, you just kind of. So the thing is, yes, I am upset that these guys were treated this way. Was it based on their color? I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. There's certainly no evidence other than that it happened to be two black guys, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Would it have happened with two white guys? We don't know, but we assume that it would not have happened had it been two white guys. I think
these gentlemen wound up having to go down to central lockup, be processed, be searched, which is just so comfortable.
Yeah. But they resisted.
Go into holding.
They did resist. They did
resist.
So what they should have done,
is just comply.
I said, you know what? You're right. I'll wait for my friend outside on the sidewalk where these ass crackers can't make me leave.
They didn't ask them to leave.
Well, I thought that was the whole problem, is that they asked them to leave and they wouldn't, and then they call the cops.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a day or two since I read this.
Yeah. That's what happened. They wouldn't leave. They were saying, our friend's coming. The guy's like, I don't care. Get out. You're not buying anything.
And then the guy walks in and says, no, that's
well, he
my
wasn't there
butt.
until the cops were there.
Yeah.
All the rigmarole with the cops was going on. So what happened was they basically told these guys to leave. They said, no, we're calling the cops. Okay, whatever, do what you do, because we're within our right. We haven't done anything. And the cops get there and say, look, guys, you need to leave. Nope. We're waiting for our friend. And then zip on went the cuffs, where what they should have done is said, you know what?
Just left.
They don't want my business. I don't want to give them any money. Let me go out and wait on the sidewalk for my buddy, and we'll go find some other place down the strip down here that we can go have coffee or lunch or whatever, and I'll tell them what happened, and life will be, rainbows and unicorns. But when the cop says,
I'll blast them on you.
I'll talk
YouTube
smack
and
about them on
Facebook
YouTube,
and
Facebook, everywhere else, and just get out and leave. If somebody tells me to leave their establishment, sure, no problem. You'll never get my money again. And I'll make sure that, and listen, I'm self-employed and I sit right here in this room 8 hours a day. And look, I have the freedom to take 3-hour lunches or a whole day lunch if that's what I want to do. And I will make it my new hobby to screw with your business by telling everybody that I know.
It's the restaurant theory.
And by the way, I work in the media, so I can make a pretty big cloud.
It's officially called the restaurant theory. If you like a restaurant, you'll tell maybe 1, 2, 3 people. If you hate a restaurant, you will tell everyone you know. Yeah. It's the word of mouth theory.
Bob's Pizza. I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
Exactly. It's that word of mouth is key. Customer service is key. You have to remember that people talk. And in this particular case, I think this is going to be devastating.
It's gonna be hurtful for them, yeah.
It's going to be devastating for Starbucks because they were already in trouble, and they did come out and they did issue a whiny kind of, we shouldn't have done that, but
well, the CEO got involved. The CEO of Starbucks got involved. He says, "Look, I'm really sorry. That's a franchise store, whatever. I wasn't there. It's not my policy to throw people out. It's, whatever." But here we go again.
And he did say, I would like to issue, if he's willing to meet with me, I would like to offer a face-to-face. He has asked
to do a face-to-face. That's right. Now, but here's the thing. And now
I wouldn't want to meet him for a face-to-face.
I would. I'd go back and let him do it. He apologize to me.
No.
Probably wind up with free coffee for life out of the deal. Yeah, I mean the CEO wants to make good on it. He's like, I'm sorry this happened. This shouldn't have happened. Shame on my employees down here on the $15 an hour wish list.
Yeah.
Wish list. Can I have 15 an hour? No. All right. But but we're coming back around to my favorite topic, which is what good is an apology?
Exactly.
If you shoot somebody in the face and you kill them, and then you say, "Oh, I'm sorry," what does that take care of? How does that absolve you from your responsibility of what you did?
It doesn't.
Now, in this particular case, I don't think there's any restitutions due because no money was spent, no harm, no foul. The guy just got kicked out. Okay, I'll never come back to your place again. But now there is the whole legal thing. If not,
they had to spend it. They had to spend the majority of a night in jail.
If not for you and your incompetent employee
But not for.
But not for your incompetent employee who now has not only ruined my day, ruined my lunch date, left a bad taste in my mouth from your nasty ass call, and now, is that defamation?
No.
I don't think it is, because they walked away unscathed of their. But the problem is now they've been arrested, they've been taken into custody, they've been treated badly, and I think they deserve something for that.
It might be defamation because they're real estate agents.
Yeah.
And their reputation is key in their business, reliability and trustability. And I mean, I wouldn't want to buy a house from somebody who I thought was surly or unruly or,
but at the same time, though, if it was viral like this and you knew beyond any question that these guys were wrongly, that they were done wrong, I think it's kind of righted itself where everybody at this point knows they didn't do anything wrong. They were there, and it was just...
Even bad publicity is kind of good publicity.
It is.
In this case.
It is. Well, I mean...
Because now everybody in Philadelphia is going to know him as the Starbucks realtor.
There's no such thing as bad publicity, incidentally.
No. Absolutely not.
And as for racism, I don't think this needs to be blown up into a race thing. I think it just needs to be, look, there was an ass cracker behind the counter who made a bad choice. I don't think, I don't see the evidence that it was done because there were black people in the store. I don't see that.
Instantly Black Lives Matters tagged it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to really go that direction with it. This guy behind the counter, look, if we want to have racial equality in our country, let Mogi get on a rant now. If we want to have racial equality in our country, we can't blame everything on race. We can't take every opportunity to say, well, that's racism. No, the guy behind the counter, error in judgment, bad choices, bad guy. Let's leave it at that. Punish the dude, fire him, whatever it is, but don't make it based on race, because the more we drag race into every single issue in our country, and by the way, I'm curious, what the hell is reverse racism? What is that? Reverse racism? Yes. Reverse racism is when a person of color is racist against a person, I guess, a white person.
Yes.
Is it not racist either direction? Is it really truly? It's what the hell is reverse racism? No. Racism is when one group of people makes a decision about somebody else based on the color of their skin. Doesn't specify.
Exactly.
It doesn't say that racism is when a white guy says something about a black guy or discriminates against. It doesn't say that. That's not the definition.
Racism is assuming that all Jewish people are cheap, is assuming that all Chinese people run dry cleaners. It's anything that is
or assuming that all black people are druggies and thugs. Now, having said that,
which is not true. None of that is true.
Right. But having said that, sometimes people, and I'm not saying black people, I'm not saying white people, I'm not saying yellow people, I'm not saying anybody. Sometimes people bring judgments upon themselves by the way that they carry themselves, the way that they act, and the way that they dress and present themselves. So, for example, when I pull up into a gas station with a Ford Expedition up on 32-inch wheels with the stereo bumping and thumping, and he walks inside and leaves it there wearing his African garb or wearing his pants around his ass crack, he's walking around living the thug life, look, this dude might be an executive at Clear Channel. I don't know. But if he's out in public and he's dressed like that and he's presenting himself like that, what am I going to think? I'm thinking he's a thug, because that's what. And look, he can't say, he can't respond with, I didn't know you'd think that of me if I dressed like that and did all that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. If I put on all black clothes and start skulking around at night, I'm going to be considered to be a prowler or you make a lot of times you bring your own problems to yourself. My mother used to say to me, little Mogi, there is nothing out there at night, because I used to be a night prowler. I used to go to the Waffle House, and but we weren't really getting in any trouble at first. My mom would say, there's nothing out there for you at night that's not out there for you during the day. You're just going to wind up, the cops are going to see you. They're going to see you enough where they're going to wonder what you're doing, and now all of a sudden you're going to be a suspect for something. And it sure as shooting, it happened. I got accused by the cops of robbing a jewelry store.
What?
Yeah. Because a jewelry store had been broken into in the middle of the night, and me and my buddy happened to be the first car that went by while all the investigators were on the scene.
What?
And when they said, "Do you mind if we look through your car?" Yeah, I got nothing to hide. And they looked in the trunk of the cars. Like they found pruning shears, they found bolt cutters, they found what they consider to be burglary tools. So guess what? Was it illegal for me to own those pieces of equipment? No.
No.
But on that rainy night, and we were muddy because we had gotten the car stuck. We were off-roading behind the shopping mall, and we got stuck in the mud. It was rainy. So when they look at us, okay, look, here's this jewelry store that's been broken into. We're muddy. We have what they consider to be burglary tools. We're riding around the scene of the crime at 2 o'clock in the morning. How does that look? Now think of it, honestly, how does that look? That's
pretty bad.
That's almost enough evidence to put you away.
That's probable cause.
It's all circumstantial.
That's circumstantial.
It's all circumstantial, but a little more evidence or a little more, just right there on that razor thin edge. But the bottom line was we had no business being there at all that time of night.
Nothing good happens that time of night.
We had no business carousing, as my mother calls it. We had no business, and we brought our own. Now they suspect us, but they can't prove it.
Yeah,
and at the time we're like, oh, those assholes, they're just trying to harass somebody. But no, but looking from their perspective, here are these two kids that don't have two dimes to rub together. Jewelry store got broken into. They drove by, muddy, wet, burglary tools. Looks like an open and shut case to them.
And now you're on their radar.
And now we're on their radar. And so every time we go somewhere, they're behind us and they're watching us. And as an extra added bonus, we used to get speeding tickets like they were going out of style because they were always watching us.
And now what's worse is because you guys are being ass crackers, to use your phrase.
Uh-huh.
The people who are actually doing stupid stuff are getting away with it.
Because they blend in now.
Because they're busy paying attention to you guys not doing stuff.
Oh, yeah. They're following us around like, oh, there they are right there.
You guys are like the decoy.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And so,
way to go.
But so my point in all this is, before you start calling me racist because I've made a decision about you based on your appearance and the way that you present yourself, if you don't want to be lumped into a certain category, you don't do as the Romans do, so to speak. If you don't want to look like a Roman, you don't do as the Romans do. If you don't want to look like a thug and a druggie, you don't dress like them and act like them. Because because it's been glamorized. Oh, it's cool to be a thuggy and a druggie and blah 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 blah. Pound your music out, blah blah blah. But first thing is when you pound your music like that, nobody but you wants to hear it. I don't care if it's that music or if it's a news talk station. I could care less. I got a radio in my car that lets me hear what I want. I don't need you to force your crap on me because you think I don't have a radio.
See, now I crank my radio, but I've always had the brains God gave a cow to at least one, turn it down before I enter my neighborhood because I want to piss off my neighbors.
Well, there's that. I had
two, turn it down at a gas station because I don't even like, calling the cops on me.
I had a discussion with someone who came in my yard one time to pick up their daughter. I won't say who it is. But I said, you need to turn that down. No, it's okay. No, you don't understand. I'm on the fire department, and my next door neighbor loves to call the sheriff when there's loud noises about. And the last thing I need is for the sheriff's department to come out here and see that and assume that I'm probably selling drugs now because I've got these people in these little Honda crap box cars coming out here with their thumpity bumpity subwoofers. I don't need it. And listen, had we moved into a neighborhood where there were cul-de-sacs and that sort of thing, and you pulled that kind of crap, I'd automatically get a visit from the homeowners association. So listen, think about, and if you're going to be on my property, respect me enough to not act like that.
See, when I was a teenager and I first started driving, I used to take my parents' car, and I was notorious for having a really loud stereo, and I would have the car and I would crank the radio, and then I would, of course, be in a hurry to come home and rip into the driveway, turn the car off, and run in the house. Look, I made it 30 seconds before curfew. Yeah, I'm so happy.
I used to stop at the top of the road and push my car back to the yard.
Well, my mom or dad would be the next person to get in the car. And, you know, my mom would get in. She'd go seatbelt in, turn on the car.
Yeah.
Radio. Yeah. And then I would catch hell.
As you should.
You need to turn that radio down.
As you should, because you were, say it with me, you were bad.
And I absolutely should. And so, I mean, like, it's so ingrained in me now that I do turn the radio down before I pull in my driveway, because I don't want to, you know, tick off the neighbors. But out of respect for my home, my neighbors, my property, myself. Yeah. Because I don't want my kids to think that, you know, I'm out running around with. And that's like my personal time. That's my personal stereo.
But there's a difference, though. Listen, there's a difference between the stereo in your Gus Fring Volvo and the 5,000 watt powerhouse that costs more than the SUV it's installed in at the gas station.
Yeah.
Where you can vibrate the overhead thing on the gas here, the metal panels.
I don't know. Vincent has a very good stereo.
I know. Well, I had one of those in the Escape.
I have found lately that I'm quite enjoying the super quality, very nice radio.
I like good high quality sound too. But now I don't have anything in my vehicle that would rival that SUV that is at the gas station by any means.
But satellite radio, like, I don't know why, but I was coming back from REMSEN. I was just hitting really good music, like song after song after song.
80s on 8, baby. That's all I'm saying.
It was 80s on 8. So, like, I was just hitting song after song after song. And, like, the tunes were cranking. I was happy. I had no kids in the car. So, like, normally when I ride, it's like at 25. I think I looked and it was at 42.
Yeah.
And I'm already like 70% hearing loss in one ear, and I have like 30% in the other. And it's funny because if we're at the grocery store and Phil has to say something to me, he has to be looking at me or I can't hear him.
Yeah.
If he's on this side of me and he's talking to me, we're fine, because this is the ear I have most hearing in.
I think you need to be looking at him.
If he's on this side of me and he's talking,
that's crazy, and I'll tell you why later.
And I'm like,
yeah, that's nutty, and I'll tell you why later. We'll talk about that off the show. But
were you talking to me? I have no idea.
Yeah, the takeaway though from my rant is this: if you go out of your way to appear to be something that you don't want to be classified as, it's your own fault. Now, is that what happened at the Starbucks? I don't think so. If you have gone out of your way to look thuggy and druggy or whatever, and somebody judges you based on your appearance, that's not racism. Is that what happened at Starbucks? I don't think so. I think they
made a bad judgment call.
That may be a case of bad judgment call, and it may be racist. It may be racist.
It may be a case that they've had a lot of loitering in that lobby.
That's
lately.
The other thing, because they talked about that.
It's been cold. It has been very cold in the Northeast lately. And it may have been that they've had a lot of people in there trying to warm up who have not been buying stuff, and sales in the store have been lower. They've been trying to boost it, and people have been hanging out and not buying stuff.
That's right.
So they may have been pushing the baristas, hey, if they're not buying stuff,
get them out. Get them out, because they're taking up space for paying customers. That's right. The hairdresser's creed is this: hair on the floor, cash in the drawer, lady out the door. They don't want people hanging around loitering and wasting their time. If you're not buying something, get out. I got a Waffle House story I don't have time for today. But basically, the millennials came in and bought nothing other than ordering glasses of free water and messing up the table and not even leaving a tip at the end of the day. They bought nothing. You know, how much of that do you put up with? That's not what you do. I don't think I had to have a special lesson that told me you don't go into a restaurant without ordering anything. You don't go into a business that you're not planning to buy. But these guys were apparently planning to buy something once their friend came in, which is not uncommon, right? It's not uncommon.
It's sad.
And with that, we have run out of time for another edition of the Podgram. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back here on YouTube Live tomorrow morning at 9 and also on TuneIn. Have a great day, everybody.
The Podgram, copyright 2018. Big Tower Media. So don't be stealing our stuff.